Hi everybody. So I just wanted to go over what's due for the final UI design. There are three things that we're going to be working on. The final UI design, right? So you just handed in and presented each of your team members' directions. So what you're going to do is get together, review, and then choose one, right? And it's okay to combine ideas if, different spots, totally fine. Or just pick one person's and say, yeah, we love this one. Let's do it like that. Either of those is fine. Do whatever revisions are necessary. But you guys decide which way you're going to go. Okay. Then you're going to create a design system. And I go into that in greater depth later in this post, but I'll do a separate video for that. But that just links to it. And just a basic one. And what this means is, you need to create a kit of parts, right? Like your toolbar and your menus, and you want to make sure you have all your typefaces and sizes all defined for different types of information, how big your photos are going to be, all that kind of stuff. And it's primarily, right, to create consistency in your screen designs. No need to create a full system, that you'll look at down there. It's way too much. So you're just going to have the standard icons, typeface styles, colors, element sizes, all that stuff. Refine the shared components, so make sure they are consistent. Make sure everybody works from the library or from whatever file has the right components. If you're working on a collaborative app like Adobe IxD or Figma, right, you can just have those as components. Everybody uses the same components for all their screens. Then if you need to refine anything, right, you refine the component, and that will cascade all the way through all the screens that use it. One thing to keep in mind is spacing is important. So when you've placed elements on the artboard, check the X and Y coordinate values and align them to whole numbers on the grid, right? So X and Y should be in like 2.0, not 2.034, right? So you don't want things halfway between pixels, because then when it gets rendered, it'll look fuzzy, right? Stuff won't match up because the app won't know if the line is supposed to be at the top of the pixel, below the pixel. It puts it through the middle. Where is 0.34 of a pixel, right? So the line it'll anti-alias and get soft. Finally, we're going to make just a design presentation, and this will end up in your final presentation, and I'll show an example of that in just a second. So apply the design system to all the screens, and then this will be in your design app, right? So all your artboards will have them all. For the presentation, you're going to pick a representative group, right? So we don't need to put every screen. But this presentation, right, imagine you're showing this to a client or a prospective job, and you can't show them the prototype, right? For some reason you can't get online, or the prototype's not available, but you just want to show the design. Or it could be that you haven't built the prototype yet, right? And you just want to get the design approved. You have to show enough of the design for people to get it, right? So the landing page, some of the section pages, a couple detail, whatever the important stuff is. 3 or 4 screens is not enough. 25 screens is probably too many. Somewhere between 9 and 12 screens is probably good, right? It could be 7, but not a whole lot more than that. And don't put more than 3 screens on the paper at the same time, right? Don't squeeze them all in. Let them breathe. You'll see in the presentation how Muka Design handles theirs. Okay? And include with this presentation a simple mock-up of a phone frame, right? So show your designs in the phone frame, right? And then use those in the mock-ups. Also, you can include short explanations of how the app works. Imagine you just send it to a client and you're not there to walk them through the app, right? Similar to the design documentation that you did for Project 1. So let's take a look at what the UI screen presentation looks like. So here's the opening of their presentation, right? And this app was designed to help horse owners who run stables for racehorses in Kentucky manage the health of their horses, blood levels, and that kind of testing. So, all right, and here's their presentation, right? A nice title, right? But subdued, right? It's not overtaking. The hero is the screen. The phone looks sharp, right? The little shadow. And then their design is dropped in. All the appropriate items are there on the phone. Again, this is an older project, but the presentation is still really strong. A couple of screens. And you'll see, right, that they're using these little call-outs, right, to point at what the functionality, and they're really concise, right? User can swipe through the 4 introductory pages, right? Some of this stuff you may not need to include these days, right, as people are much more knowledgeable about what this is. And these are sort of the key features, the key screens, right? And then once they're into it a little bit more, now they've, it's this the 3 screens, right? They're not trying to fit 6 screens or 12 screens. They're all, nice, big, so we can really read them. Typography is handled simply. All right, and they've got a little footer. Notice how everything lines up, right? There's a little wiggle, it looks like. Not too bad. All right. All right, you can see if you look right in here, you'll watch this one jump a bit. So, but it covers all the basics, okay? And then they go on through everything. You don't have to do that. Just give us the overview so that we can sort of see what your app looks like. Okay, so that's what's due, 318, right? Those 3 steps. And in the next video, I'll talk about the design system.